All right, the first big newsmaker of the meeting, Democratic Congressman Alan Grayson, better known for some of his fiery comments on Republicans and health care, now taking aim at the Federal Reserve along with so many others. He says the Federal Reserve is more secretive than the CIA. In his new amendment, co-sponsored by Republican Ron Paul, would allow the first ever independent audit of the Federal Reserve. The amendment edged out a competing proposal from North Carolina, Congressman Mel Watt, who wants to limit those very audits. Congressman Grayson now joins the morning meeting. Your amendment approved by the House Financial Services Committee, a huge step forward. Where do you go from here, and what's your level of confidence, Representative, that you can continue the momentum behind this piece of legislation?
Where we go is to stop the secret bailouts. There have been hints and hints now for more than 2 years that the Fed's been conducting huge bailouts on the scale of hundreds of billions of dollars to favored large failed banks. Now we're going to find out all about it, and we're going to decide whether it's good or bad.
Comments from both the former Fed chief Alan Greenspan and, for that matter, former Fed chief going back even further, Paul Volcker, to the House Financial Services Committee. They say, we can assure you that this protection of internal deliberations and reaching decisions that will affect market conditions and could expose sensitive information about particular institutions is indispensable to the Federal Reserve's conduct of monetary policy. Basically, if you look behind the curtain, you won't like what you'll see, and it'll screw things up worse. How do you respond to that?
Well, we are in Emerald City right now. We've arrived in Emerald City. Toto has just run underneath the curtain.
Excellent.
And we're about to see who is that man behind the curtain and what's he up to.
And they don't want. And what do you think is behind the curtain?
Well, what I think is favoritism to selected big banks that have failed and led us to the brink of national bankruptcy.
What of the fact that lending law, that being a bank is no longer pays that much money to lend money? Lending, because of modern technology, is a low-profit business, so the government legalized much higher profit ways to do it in secret, and basically the Federal Reserve is their back end. Are we on our way to restoring laws for lending in this country?
Listen, capitalism requires rewarding success and punishing failure. That's what Joseph Schumpeter said almost a century ago. So far, we've seen plenty of reward for success on Wall Street, but no punishment for failure, not when the Fed is handing out blank checks.
Understood. Representative Grayson, enjoy your day. Thanks for the time. I do appreciate it. Elliot Spitzer is with us here. We were having a comment during the commercial. I want you to share with everybody what you were just saying to me, which is we're in a high-stakes situation here, whether we're playing either deal with the truth or continue to run.
Or we can continue the same broken model and business model that has failed. I think the Congressman's metaphor is great. Unfortunately, we just saw what was behind the curtain. It's Tim Geithner, and when we saw what Tim Geithner did with AIG, it failed, it was wrong, it was a disaster. We need that scrutiny of the Fed. There is a way to do what Paul Volcker says, which is to protect the information about individual institutions, but still bear to the world what the Fed is thinking. They've been wrong, other than when Paul Volcker was there. He's a hero in my mind. Yep. But understand that Alan Greenspan got it fundamentally wrong over and over and over. That's why they don't want us to see what they were doing. The bailouts have been wrong, the macro policies have been wrong. Until we put this on the table, we can't correct it.
And their solution has been this graphic right here, which is to print as much money as humanly possible. Those are trillions of dollars, and you can see those are many years laid down there. And when the chickens came home to roost last year, they turned on a money printer.
Understand, you got it exactly right. The Fed is saying the cost of money to the big banks is zero. You can then buy T-bills at 3% or play in the casino. They don't lend to businesses that are making money. They're lending overseas. None of this is contributing to job growth, and that, of course, is the essential problem confronting our economy.
So effectively, the U.S. taxpayer is giving money to our government, both the Treasury and the Federal Reserve, and then those institutions are giving that money to our banks, who are then either using it to gamble or take offshore.
This is exactly right, and that's why this model is broken, and this is the model that the Fed has been perpetrating. As the Congressman said, socializing risk, privatizing gain is not a model that works.
And we know that. We're all kind of confused why the government's not dealing with it.